Welcome into another exciting live edition of Locked On 76ers with Keith Pompey and Marc Farzetta. The 76ers not getting the Christmas Day game. The NBA not betting on your Sixers. We'll talk about why that's the right move for them on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's particular episode brought to you by Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase with the Gametime app. Keith, it dropped 2 days ago now. Shams Charania putting out the list of teams playing on Christmas Day this season. The 76ers, not one of 10 teams participating on the Christmas Day festivities. I will say this first and foremost, Keith, as someone that worked behind the scenes, primetime football, albeit football. It's also going to be produced by a lot of my friends that I worked with on NBC Sunday Night Football, producing the NBA this year. There is a golden rule when it comes to making the schedule really in any league, especially on marquee days like Christmas in the NBA. If they don't trust you, you ain't going to be on. If they don't believe that you're going to have a good squad, an MVP caliber player, you ain't going on that matchup list. So the NBA not betting on the Sixers to be healthy enough for Christmas Day and have the big three going. And I got to say, I'd love to be outraged by this, Keith, but I'm kind of with the league on this one, friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense. I mean, just because of we look at last year, how there was certain games where the big three was expected to play, and next thing you know, Maxey was the only person on the floor. I mean, we think about it like, it was early on too. I mean, let's think about when they played the New York Knicks early and Maxey was the only one playing. The season opener, Maxey was the only person playing. So, when you look at it that way, well, I take that back. The New York Knicks game, I believe Joel did play in that first game against the Knicks at home. But at the same time, when you look at the season opener, and that was supposed to be, Doc Rivers coming back to Philly with supposed to be a loaded Milwaukee Bucks team. And then you have the Sixers, and we didn't get the matchup. So I understand it 100%. And let's face it, Joel Embiid came out and said, I don't know when I'm coming back. I'm not going to come back until I'm ready. Then you hear reports that Paul George may not be ready for the start of the season. You look and you see who they kept and who they acquired in free agency, and then we look at it like either you have a dominant team or you have superstars on your squad to have like a head-to-head matchup. And right now, the Sixers do have superstars, but they're just injured and they're not a dominant team. So you're right. It's kind of like it was the biggest duh. Like in the NBA so far this summer, the fact that the 76ers are not playing on Christmas Day. Now, unfortunately for them, it ends a streak of 3 consecutive seasons playing on there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that they had to do it. They just had to, talking about the NBA.
Yeah, and talking about the history of doing it, you mentioned 3 straight times. Well, last year was kind of like the great tease because they beat the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day, and Tyrese Maxey dropped 33 points in that game. Joel Embiid had 27, I think 12 boards to go along with it. And Paul George had like 12 points. But the big three played together in a game against the Boston Celtics, and they won. And that was the last time I really felt great about the 76ers going forward, because at that time, last Christmas, you're thinking, okay, they got the big matchup. They're going to be on the big day. This is a big prove-it game. Are they going to be healthy enough to play in this game? How's it going to look with all these 3 guys together? And they look great. They went out there and they did the thing that we were all hoping they would do at the start of the year. We had to wait for it for Christmas, and that was pretty much it. It felt like it was all downhill after that when it came to the 76ers. So this is what it tells me. It tells me that our biggest fears as a Sixers fan base, that the 76ers biggest fears as a fan base, are shared by the league. because they too don't believe that they are going to be good enough, healthy enough to be worthy of being one of 10 teams, Keith. That's the thing that shocks me as well. One of 10 teams that are going to be out there on Christmas Day for a full slate of NBA entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also like, what do you want to see on TV? You know, it's
right.
I mean, honestly, like, what do you want to see? I mean, like, do you want to take a chance to have, and like, I mean, look at the Boston Celtics aren't even playing, right? So do you want to see Tyrese Maxey, Adem Bona, Jared McCain, going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers? You know what I mean? Like,
not really.
People want to view, yeah, exactly. So that's what it's all about. Like, are you going to see that? And you don't want to see it. And the thing is, like, when we talk about it is, like right now, the Quinton Grimes thing hasn't even been settled yet. So when you do that, you have to have like some guarantees or that you're going to have these marquee matchups. And right now they just don't have it. And unfortunately, like, you want these games to be thrillers. To me, I think it's too many Christmas Day games. I'll be honest. Like, they go from like 12 o'clock all the way through the night. And after a while, I've been covering one, and then later on you may go back and watch one. But I don't know anyone who I spoke to who told me, yeah, Keith, I watched all 6 games. Nah, you just don't. So it is what it is. It's a fun thing. And here's the thing, like, I will say this. Last year on Christmas, they had some NFL games played, right? And I felt like that kind of took some of the NBA luster. It got to a point where LeBron James even said, I love the NFL, but Christmas is our day. Let us play on Christmas. Because when it comes down to it, the fan, you look at the NBA product comparable to the NFL, there are going to be more people that's going to watch it. You know what I mean? There's going to be more people that's going to watch it because of that. So, to me, if I'm the Sixers, even though, like, you want to be on that marquee day, quote unquote, in a way, I'm a little bit happy because guess what? We can get our rest on Christmas. We could probably play the day later or a couple days later, maybe play on 2 days before Christmas or Christmas Eve, whatever. But then we don't have to worry about all that other stuff. And we could just focus on this season. But yeah, I don't, like you said, you don't trust the Sixers right now because, you don't know what the Embiid situation is. You don't know what Paul George situation is. Heck, you don't even know. Like, we hope that Jared McCain can come back and be the same player, but we'll figure that out when he gets on the court, right? So there's a lot of things going on that is too up in the air. And plus, let's face it, do you want to see the team that's projected to finish 7th in the East on Christmas Day?
No.
Let
me distill this to go to the next point here. It's not just about Christmas Day. It's not just about the opener. We're going to get the NBA schedule coming out. Do you think the Sixers are going to be a team that will get a considerable amount of national eyes, primetime eyes, when the full schedule comes out?
I don't. I don't think that they'll get as much as they did in the past.
Yeah, this is an indicator of that.
Yeah, I think this could be an indicator. Because to me, it's too much. I mean, it's too much up in the air. And think about last year. Like, think about last year, how the 76ers had marquee games where ESPN was in town and they were tanking. Like, it's like, or other people didn't play. This reminds me, this season, the uncertainty reminds me of my first season with the Sixers. And the Sixers went to Bilbao, Spain, right? And they played a game out there in Spain. And it was funny because the person who they were highlighting, because this was when they traded Drew Holiday and then they got Nerlens Noel, but Nerlens couldn't play. And this was like the first preseason game. The person who they highlighted was Kwame Brown. Seriously. The Sixers highlighted Kwame Brown, and Kwame Brown wasn't even with the team. He didn't even, like, he wasn't with the team. Like they got rid of him, but there was so much uncertainty. So when you look at that, that was embarrassing for the NBA. That you had to highlight Kwame Brown, who wasn't even with the team, right? So when you look at that, if you're like the ESPN, if you're it's going to be NBC Sports this year.
Mm-hmm.
And do you really want to like do that and have the Sixers playing on prime time a lot of games, not knowing who's going to be there? Because you're messing up your ratings. It's messing up the product. So, yeah, I think that this is an indicator of what we can expect once the schedule is released.
I don't bring it up for doom and gloom, Keith. I bring it up because the feelings that I think most of the 76ers fan base has right now, which isn't negative. It's not pessimistic. It's a real thing. This is the way they feel. This is the way the Sixers have led them to feel. And that is, our concerns in the fan base of the 76ers are the same concerns of the people that are trying to sell this product. And the Sixers, for as high a payroll as they have, all the guaranteed money and all the contracts and all that, the juice ain't worth the squeeze from the national level, unfortunately. When we come back, one more thing from Shams, and this came out late last week, and I'm sorry I missed this. SnitchGate gets another go-around here. A little nugget was dropped by Shams. I don't know what to make of it. Maybe you can help me with that when it comes to that infamous team meeting in Miami. We'll talk about that and more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Back after this. And right now, let me tell you about the Gametime app. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets, for game tickets, the big event, comedy show, whatever it might be. Well, Gametime app is the way to go for all of it. Gametime makes getting concert tickets, game day tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop the closer you get to showtime or tip-off or face-off or first pitch or soon-to-be kickoff. You can actually drop and save 60%. You can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals on the Gametime app. If you're tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal, Gametime Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Gametime price is also, you see what you pay. What you see is what you pay. So you know that right out of the gate. There's no surprise, this fee, that fee. No, you see it upon checkout. You're doing great with the Gametime app. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets, game day tickets, show tickets with the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app today and create an account. Use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account. Use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So, Keith, this story that came out on ESPN a little about a month ago now, Embiid is watching you, or Embiid sees you, rather. That was a very long backstory on Joel Embiid and how he doesn't trust the Sixers, and he's going to take his sweet time, as he should, to come back from injury. He's not going to rush anything. He's not going to rush to be back by the opener. When he feels like he can play. Guess what? He's going to play. Well, in that story, Joel Embiid was asked about the locker room meeting, the team meeting after their loss in Miami, where everybody knows by now Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid and told him that he needs to show up on time, be present for team events, and be a leader even if he's not playing. Well, that got leaked literally the next morning. An anonymous source told Shams Charania that, hey, there was this meeting and Joel Embiid got called out by Tyrese Maxey. Well, in this story recently by ESPN, a couple weeks ago now, Joel Embiid said he knows who the snitch was, but he's not going to say. Well, Shams said late last week he would be very surprised to learn that Joel Embiid actually knew. Essentially, the way it was framed, he called Embiid's bluff and said, you don't know who my snitch is. Now, there have been names that have been thrown out there regarding these. We won't go down that road again, but all I'm going to ask you, Keith, do you agree with Shams that Embiid doesn't know, or do you think Embiid does know?
I mean, when we talked about it beforehand and the way the Embiid set it up, it didn't sound right to me, to be honest with you. Because there was another name, I heard of another name of someone, and it just didn't sound right. And I also felt like Joel was being Joel, where he was basically putting something out there to make people think. But I think that he was going in a completely different opposite direction than what he actually believed. Now who knows what Joel actually knows, right? But again, there was different names that came out, and it wasn't a person that everybody thought it was, that Joel made it seem like to be. But if you're Shams, and like, this story is getting old to me, I'll be honest with you. Like, at this particular point in time, who gives a flying, who was the snitch? Like, it got out, bro. It got out.
Right.
But at the same time, if you look at Shams, it's kind of like they always say, you got to protect your sources with everything, right? So, of course, he would come out and say, oh, no, that's not him, even if it was him or not like that. But I do believe that I think that Joel is smart enough to have an idea of who it is. But I also feel like Joel was just throwing something out there to make people think, right? I don't.
So he doesn't look dumb.
Yeah, so he doesn't look dumb.
Oh, I know. I know who did it.
Yeah, like, or no, I think Joel. No, I think Joel just is kind of like, let's say if somebody did something to you and it was an inside job, right? And you know it's an inside job. It's like, but you do the misdirection. Nah, I heard it was like someone down the block. Even though you know, but you don't want everybody to know that you know, right?
Okay.
But this is, this is just crazy. Like, it's just because, see, like, to me, when we keep talking about dysfunction and we keep talking about drama and the stuff keeps coming back, like, Reggie also said something, they called out the coaching staff, which is true. They said that the coaching staff needs to coach the 76ers harder. But right now, we're still talking about who snitched on Joel when you had all the coaches in the meeting and you had all the players in the meeting. Now, the deal is, let's keep it 100. So let me say, if I'm on the phone and my wife is saying, so let me say, like, I'm on the phone and I'm a player, and then after the game, my wife, the player's wife, rather, the player's like agent, the player's father, bull, whoever, best friend, all that. It's like, yo, man, what took you so long? How come you didn't call me after the game like you normally do? Man, we had some BS, man. We had Maxie had to tell Joel this. Then we talked to Nick Nurse, and then we had like a real long team meeting. Well, heck, if a lot of people are telling people stuff like that, it could be anyone who got it out there. You know what I mean? But the problem is, why are we still talking about who the snitch was? Because Joel didn't like somebody getting the word out, right? So to me, that's like, it's becoming a joke, man. It's a lot of negative energy, man. Like, this isn't the type of energy you want in heading into the season. And I get it. It's August. There's nothing going on in August. It's a dead period, so to speak. The NBA schedule comes out, parts of it tomorrow, right? So you need something to talk about. But if I'm the 76ers, I want this thing just to go away. Really do. You know what I mean? Now, here's my thing. If Joel Embiid would have came out in that story and said player, named them, was the snitch, then okay. But when you start like saying, oh, this person, this and that one, it's like it opens up a can of worms. And now you got the guy who broke the story out there saying, he don't know who I got. He don't know who I got. Now, and I believe that Joel does know, but I think Joel is just giving misdirection on this whole thing when he said what he said. But like Shams, like, and all of them, they just need to leave it alone and just let it go. Just let it go.
Here's why I find it to be a little bit more relevant than just a talking point in the offseason. And you alluded to it. And it's the way that Joel Embiid phrased how he knew. It's how he put it in context. He said, oh, I know who the Snitch is. And the reporter follows up, well, who do you think it is? He goes, well, I don't know if they're still going to be on the team or not, or if they're on the team or what's going on. And he's like, come on, you don't know who's on your team? And Embiid's like, I don't know, man, free agency. And I'm like, oh my God. he's giving arrows to narrow it down. Like somebody that could be here, somebody that couldn't be here. And there's a couple of names that obviously jump to mind. And I think he knows. I will say this. I think he knows. I do find it interesting, though, when the article really talks about trust, that the Sixers, from what I understand, have a good shot here of that guy still coming back. And for even Joel Embiid to question whether or not the guy's going to be back and not, Embiid doesn't trust this guy, he's gone. So that guy's got to have some clout in one way, shape, or form with some higher ups there in the building, so to speak. So the fact that person could still very much be on the court with Joel Embiid, still in team meetings with Joel Embiid, after this person ran to the media with the information, allegedly, that's what I find really interesting about this story. Not that it's just like, oh, who snitched on me? It's the fact that these two guys apparently still got to work together in the upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, here's the thing. And I guess this is kind of weird. I feel like that if Joel Embiid, I feel like Joel Embiid lost some of his power within the organization. Now they can't get rid of him because of his contract, but I feel like he lost some of his power within the organization when they let Bubs go, Anthony Jackson, the co-head of security, who was always with Joel. Now, if anybody saw Joel, Anthony Jackson was always close by. He went with him to France. He did a lot of different things with him, right? So with that being said, I feel like he lost some of that power, that cachet to say he can do it. Now, it's hard to say don't have this guy in the locker room or this guy on the team when they don't even know if you're going to show up to work, or especially when you didn't even tell them. Like, that's like saying to your boss, hey man, I'm about to go on vacation. I know, hey man, I don't know when I'm gonna go on vacation, but then you tell your boss's boss, I'm taking this month off. That's how the Sixers basically found. I mean, seriously, when Joel Embiid was done, he went to the ownership group. He didn't go to Daryl Morey or Nick Nurse. Right. So it's kind of like, I guess they feel like it probably works both ways. But yeah, he knows who it is. But again, I think that Joel, because here's the thing. When it first came out, there was a specific name that came to everybody. People were told around the league that it was a certain person, right? And people looked at that person's track record, what have you, and they felt like it was a little bit too similar, right? So a lot of people felt that way, that it was a certain person. I was told that Joel thought it was that person as well, right? So the deal is, but there was no way of proving it because I wasn't there. So you don't want to just throw that person under the bus if you can't prove it. Of course, everybody's going to deny it, right? But that's what people felt. So when Joel came out and said what he said, it was the complete opposite of what everybody expected. That's why I said a little bit of misdirection. And then it's funny because now, like I keep telling you, Joel is extremely smart. Extremely smart. Joel is extremely calculated too. So now all of a sudden he comes out and he says something, and then all of a sudden people think of two players. Who went away in free agency and who came back? Well, what does Shams do? Oh, he doesn't know who it is. He doesn't know who it is. So basically, Shams is basically taking these two guys off the list. So Joel's like, okay, then that confirms who I thought it was. You know what I mean? So, like, again, like I tell you, Joel's extremely smart. He's the master of misdirection, excuse me. And, it could have been that person, but at the same time, I honestly believe that Joel just threw that out there to make people think, make people wonder. But here's the thing, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, it's the biggest joke to me that, like, we're talking about something that happened in November, right? And the fact that you still worrying about who a snitch is, that's telling that this team still has problems. They still have trust issues.
Yeah, it's on the list.
You know what it is? Come on, Mark, let's keep it 100.
Yeah.
Me and you, we both grew up in Philly, and this is in any place in America. I don't care if it's in if it's in North Dakota, Podunk, whatever, Iowa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. You have a disagreement or a beef with a friend, right? So what do guys typically do? You address it. Sometimes you might even throw hands as a kid.
Yeah. You hash it out.
Get it out. You get it over. Then all of a sudden you like, you done? You good? Yeah, I'm good. Then it takes a little while to redevelop that trust. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like men tend to address problems head on and then they move on. Because you look at a prime example, Tyrese Maxey said what he said to Joel. They're still buddies, man. They're close. But the fact that we're still talking about a snitch is telling me, like, yo, what's going on here? These guys are acting petty, man. Like, yo, like, this is stuff that you really like talk about, like when ladies get involved, like the girls, like, you know, they get together, they like this, and it's like, and I'm not trying to be excuse me if I'm not being politically correct or anything like that. I'm not trying to be it that way. But what I'm saying is we're talking about dudes who normally just get it over with and like they cool again. It's kind of like on basketball game. You go head to head with somebody, you hate that person, you may want to fight them, but then the next time you see him, you're like, yo, he's cool. He's cool. Right. And like Reggie said, it's like, it's a nothing story to me. And it seems like the team is soft, man. It seems like it's a soft team where guys are getting their feelings hurt. Nah, nah.
I will say this, and I see Reggie here. It's a nothing story. To me, it ain't a nothing story because it ain't anything close to a nothing story. You have two guys that apparently one knows the other guy snitched, whatever. Now they got to work together again for all intents and purposes. And then you also look at, as you mentioned, Keith, which I think is huge, Joel, like the team themselves looking at Joel Embiid and like, oh, you might be pissed at this guy, but whatever, he's coming back. Like, that shows, again, the idea of a lack of power or dwindling amount of power in Joel Embiid when it comes to his influence in the organization. That ain't nothing. That's definitely
people
something.
Snitch all the time.
Oh, sure.
I mean, in pro sports, they snitch all the time. You know what the crazy part is? This is when you can't be together and you can't. And so the thing is, to me, if a guy says, yeah, man, we had a team meeting and this is what happened. Okay, you get over that. Now, this is the thing that really that like is on a different level to me, and we acting like it's on the same level. Say, like, if you had a teammate who was having an affair with another guy, another teammate's wife. You know what I mean? Like, if you were doing stuff like that, I mean, like, to me, there's different levels. Like, right now, we talk about it like, there's a lot of snitching going on. Like, that's how stories get broken. Or such and such. Okay, like, a prime example. Joel Embiid, league sources say Joel Embiid's not playing today. So, are you mad that somebody snitched that you ain't playing?
Right.
Oh, league sources say Ben Simmons blew out his knee. Oh, so you mad that somebody snitched on that? You know what I mean? Okay, well, they had a team meeting. Now, first of all, you got to understand something. It wasn't like it was a normal team meeting. They were in there for 2 hours and didn't speak to the media for 2 hours after the game. Lord knows something's going to get out, right? So I get what you're saying. I do. I honestly do, that they have a problem. But to me, that's a bigger issue. And it's just telling you, it's just telling you how fragile this organization is right now. You know what I mean? It is. It's like, it's fragile, dude. Like, come on, man. Like, I wish it was high school where they could, like I said, the coach will say, all right, y'all go in the bathroom. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Handle this stuff. and then we're gonna hug up like brothers do and do things.
I like this. Anthony Washington pointing out there's definitely levels to snitching. That's so true. There absolutely are. I do want Keith, you, me, whoever. Instead of saying per sources in the next report, just put per snitches. Just because that's. I mean, really, you talk about levels of snitching. That would be a lesser level. A source is a lesser level of snitching, but it's still snitching. Well, here we go. Oh, Richard Hallowell, what's going on? Sixers are the fourth best team in Philadelphia. Ugh. Thank you for that. All right. When we come back, Keith, you're back from Cleveland. So I want to ask you if you've come down from your Cleveland high. And then I also want to ask you about Grimes Watch. A nugget, I'll refer to it, was highlighted by a national writer. We'll talk about that when we return. In this quick blink of a break, back right after this. So real quick, Jake Fisher of the Mark Stein line put out a story, the Sunday Best, I believe is what he calls these feature pieces. And in it, he talked about Trae Young, some other NBA stories, but he did talk about the 76ers and Quinton Grimes. One being that Quinton Grimes is the number one priority of the 76ers, not something that we haven't, I mean, we've talked about it at length and we know that. But the other thing is just that they continue to be very optimistic that they will have the services of Quinton Grimes in the upcoming season. He got the $8.7 million offer sheet extended to him. He is hunting for a better deal somewhere else that the 76ers would obviously have the right of first refusal. It's a lot of stuff that we knew already, Keith, but again, not much has changed in Grimes' watch. What do you make of those little nuggets dropped by Jake Fisher?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, to me, like when I saw it, it's updating, but it's also stuff that we expected. And we talked about that last week. Remember, like I said, it seems like he's probably going to, like people saying he's leaning towards taking the 8.7, the offer, taking that. Right. To me, it's weird because it's kind of like it's telling me when you have stuff like this that we could be in for a while, right? And both, and if you notice, it said like, September, October, whatever, right? Whatever. Here's the deal. I think that when you have something like this, is letting it be known that both sides are, they're far apart from what they're
playing
want.
The long game.
They're playing the long game. But not only that, it's kind of sort of like if you are Quinton Grimes' agent and you want X amount of money, well, you would want it out there to say, hey, look, y'all, if y'all don't give me what I want, I'm going to take this 8.7. I have a no trade clause, so you can't trade me, right? And what happens is when free agency comes, you best believe I'm going to take the money, and there's going to probably be no hometown discount, no loyalty, this and that. This is what's going to happen. So if you're the Sixers and you look at this and you say to yourself, you're like, wow, are we gambling or should we like try to come closer to what they want so we can lock them up for 3 years as opposed to him being a free agent? But then at the same time, if you're the 76ers, you're saying, okay, bro, you trying to call our bluff. Well, deep down inside, if you take this 8.7, you're leaving at least $8 million on the table, right? That you probably may not get back. And here's the thing. The team was tanking last year, so that enabled you to score 40 points, right? Enabled you to get those 30-point games, what have you. You're not going to do that when Maxey and Embiid and Paul George come back. So go ahead and do what you want because you're not going to probably get more money next season than what we're going to offer you. So when you hear something like that, although it could happen, I think that right now it's still part of negotiating, like saying, hey, we'll do whatever we can. You better come to the table. You don't come what we want, we are going to to move on, or we're going to do whatever. Now, to me personally, if I'm not doing anything until the other two major free agents or other three guys get paid, because they'll set the market for you. You know what I mean? They'll say if Kuminga gets 20 something mil, which Kuminga wants out of Golden State, so he's probably not going to do it. But if Josh Giddey, gets a lot of money, to me, I think then you'll have you'll say, okay, well, Josh Giddey got 22, I want 20. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. But now if Josh Giddey gets 18, you can't have, people are going to look at you crazy for asking for 20. If that makes sense.
No, it's business, man. It makes total sense. I get it. Keith, we got some more stuff we want to get into tomorrow. Hopefully we get a little bit, maybe another nugget dropped when it comes to the Quinton Grimes signing. We also can talk about the NBA calendar and the schedule for the 76ers as more things continue to leak out over the next couple of days here. And we'll continue to monitor all things 76ers for you right here on Locked On 76ers. In the meantime, make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. And we thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen today. For your second listen, how about you check out Locked On NBA podcast, where there is no off-season. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's Keith Pompey. Keith, despite, not being in Cleveland anymore, I know a lot of people, they come crashing down after that Cleveland high. They're not in that, beautiful oasis of the Midwest called Cleveland. So congratulations on overcoming that so quickly. We'll be back talking about all things Sixers tomorrow. His name's Keith Pompey. I'm Marc Farzetta. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Locked On 76ers.